Howdy, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Matt. And this week we made this coffee table as a wedding present for some friends.
It's a really great and very challenging project for somebody who wants to get started in woodworking and make use of really awesome old pallets.
So the first step is actually finding pallets, and Matt and I drove all the way out to my dad's office where there are normally a big stack of pallets in the back of the building, but unfortunately they had none by the time that we got there. So we had to drive around for a little bit and just kind of wander and try and find pallets. And ironically, we did find a huge mountain of pallets right outside of my neighborhood, and the gentlemen running the place where they were located were so gracious, and they let us take as many as we wanted. And that would be what I would recommend, is just go and ask people, because people are so generous and very willing to help you out.
Now we got the pallets, time to unload.
Yay, I helped. Yay.
Try this trick.
Oh, it's gonna be loud.
And then you get a hammer and you hit that bottom piece and it should just pop right off.
So smart.
Alright, so the way that we're going to get all the wood off of the pallet is you cut a little piece just slightly bigger than this piece, and you can stick it underneath here, and then if you hit this piece it should just pop right off. You're a piece of wood. So now we're going to do that all of these pallets. So we got 3 pallets disassembled, and now it's time to clean them all up. But first, since it's hot in Texas, it's time for some lunch and some water. Now that we have all of the wood, we're going to cut it down to a uniform thickness. What we're going to do that on is this table saw. Later we'll cut it down to our final thickness, which is going to be right around 3 inches. Depending on if we have any smaller pieces, we may go a little bit smaller just so we can have all one thickness. So since I don't have a joiner, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find the flattest edge on the piece and use that up against the side on the table saw. Because that way I cut a perfectly straight line down one side, and I can then use that other side to rip the other side down. Alright, so I just realized that a lot of our boards are cut at about 2 7/8-ish. So I'm going to change our initial cut to probably around 2 7/8-ish, and then we'll cut our final length down to 2 1/4. Alright, now that we've run all of them through the table saw and we have this clean edge right here, we're going to run them back through the table saw so we can get this to be a clean edge. We're going to change the distance a little bit to about 2 3/4, maybe a little bit more, just so we're not taking off too much material here. So I'm going to get on that. One thing to always remember, if you're using pallet wood or any types of wood, especially with a table saw, there is going to be some debris that flies off. So when I was cutting those, I had a piece fly back and hit my arm. It didn't really bleed, but I do have a little Star Wars Band-Aid now, so now it's all better. Ashley patched me all up. So the next step is we're going to use a planer, which I've never used before, so we're just going to try and figure it out. Maybe watch some other YouTube videos. I don't really know, but we're going to break it out and see how it works, see what I can do, but we're going to try and plane all the boards down to a uniform thickness. So now we need to start making the base, what the boards are all going to lay on. So it's going to be set up kind of like this. We're going to have 2 sheets of laminated plywood. We want the overall coffee table to be around 2 by 4 feet. So we're going to cut the plywood down to that length, and then we're gonna cut the other boards down to smaller. The way that we're gonna cut this out is we're going to lay down one of these pieces. We have the marks for where we wanna cut, and we're gonna use a circular saw, and we're gonna clamp this down and rest one of the edges of the circular saw on this, so that way it's a perfectly straight cut. That should run pretty smoothly, and you should see a video of that right now. And now we have the two pieces, so we're gonna lay them on top of each other, see how they line up, and then we'll get on to laminating them. You probably won't be able to see it from the camera, but these are very close, close enough that we're just gonna roll with it, and you'll see why in a second. We're gonna end up putting these on, and then we'll cut those to length. So we have the two boards cut, and this is how we're gonna set up the base pieces. So we're gonna offset at 1.5 inches. I'll explain why later. We need to find the length that we need to cut this piece, which is 1.5 inches here, 1.5 inches here, 1.5 inches here, and 1.5 inches here. And the whole board is about 23 inches wide, so according to some mental math is 17. So we need to cut two of these at 17, and then we're going to do the same for these pieces, except it'll only be offset 1.5 inches on each side. This is 48 wide, that is 45. Alright, so we have everything cut. Now we're going to secure it all. And we're going to secure it by just doing some basic joints. So we're just going to take a screw and drive it all the way through. First things first though, we do need to make sure it's square. We're going to clamp those in. We're going to pre-drill some holes in, and then we'll be good to attach it. And once we attach this, we'll be able to attach it to the baseboard. Well, it looks like my battery's dead, so I'll continue later. Alright, so I finished putting together this last night, let all the glue dry, so we're super solid on that. The next task is Ashley is going to come lay out how the design is going to be, which you've probably already seen. I haven't, so Ashley's going to lay that out, and that way we can get to cutting. I'm going to cut the legs for this, as well as the shelf.
So obviously you can see here on this left side, it is a lot more complete than the pieces on the right. And that is because the order on the left side is going to be the order that we put the pieces of wood on the actual table. So as you can see right there, so what Matt is gonna do is essentially just go straight down the middle and give that a nice clean edge. And then on the other side, we're gonna do the same exact thing, just cut down on that edge piece and it'll go together to make a really nice arrow-shaped point. But the reason we have more pieces on the left than on the right is because the left side is the finished design that we want, but because we did not take more pallets apart, we are limited in our pieces of wood right now, which won't be a problem because once we cut the pieces of wood, any of that extra excess on this side, which we will also cut, we will put it on the other side and make a really cool design as well. So what you see on the left side, this order will be on the complete table. But whatever leftover pieces we have right there, because you can see those are a bit longer, we're gonna take those and put them on the right side and we'll do something just as cool. What are we doing next, babe?
We're gonna put those on.
We're gonna put those on. Cool, I'm excited. You ready?
Oh no, I'm gonna cut these.
I know, I'm filming. Just so you ready to freaking cut, dude?
I'm so ready to cut.
So ready to cut.
Look at that.
That looks awesome.
Alright, so I've cut all of the pieces that Ashley had laid out with 45, and then I screwed this piece into the middle, so that'll give us a straight edge, just so we're not guessing on if we're lined up or not. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to lay them all up here like I got this one clamped in. We're going to mark the underside, and then we will cut those out on the saw, so that way it just won't be super heavy on one side. And then we'll actually attach these.
So we just finished cutting this edge piece, or these edge pieces right here, and it is looking really, really good. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of a height issue in the pieces like this. So just how that's overlapping, just a little bit, which is not a problem. Sometimes that's kind of the cool look that you want to go for. But we're going to attach it right now, and then at some point, you see how there's a little bit of an uneven edge, excuse me. Matt will go through and we'll cut that excess edge. We just wanted to cut it a little bit so we could work with it a little bit more easily.
Alright, so the way that we're going to attach these is with brad nails and wood glue. The brad nails are really just to hold it in place while the wood glue secures it. Wood glue is way stronger than a lot of joints, and so we're going to be relying on that to hold it in place, really. So we're going to try and put minimal amounts of brad nails in here, so we're going to do that real quick. So we got it all the top of the coffee table attached. We did have to break down another pallet and kind of go through the whole same process you've seen before. But just kind of unfortunate we were short one board. So now we're gonna get to cut it all down. So the reason why we left 1.5 inch gap on here is because that's just about the gap between here and the blade of this circular saw. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be able to just butt this up against this and just rip a straight edge all the way down. And we can do that for all four sides, and that'll give us a really clean edge that we can then come back and attach probably a 2x2 to, and that'll allow us to it'll clean up the whole project, make everything look very, very nice. So I'm gonna do that right now. We got a nice straight edge, and it looks amazing. I'm gonna continue doing the same thing for all the sides, then we'll be good to go. One more side to go. All right, that's the coffee table. Now we're gonna work on the legs. It shouldn't be too hard to install. We already have the base over there, and then the 4 legs are somewhere around here. It's kind of a mess right now, but I'll find them. Where are the legs? Alright, so that was way harder than it needed to be, but I can just set the legs inside of here, and I have this will be the base that'll sit just above ground level. So that way you can put some stuff on it. You can put blankets, whatever you want. I don't know what you put on a coffee table, but all right. So we got all the legs, and we got the base that'll sit right around here. And so now what we need to do is we need to attach 3 of the legs, and on the 4th one we're gonna level it. So we decided that we're not going to put the shelf on the bottom just because it won't be enough clearance, and it'll give it a little bit more versatility on where you can put it or whatever. And so I've cut out these pieces, and these pieces are going to go around the edge and kind of just hide all of this that we've done. And so we're just going to wood glue those in place, brad nail them in. You've seen it with the top of the table, so we're just going to do that again. it's time to put on some stain. So we're gonna stain everything except for the base, which we've already put a polyurethane finish on. So we're just gonna stain this and it's gonna look awesome. We did a test piece and it looked absolutely fantastic. So we're gonna go ahead and go with it all the way around. And we already put a polyurethane finish on the top. So we're not gonna stain the top. We're just gonna stain everything except the top, including the little trim pieces that we have. Okay.
Overall, we actually really enjoyed making this table. It was a lot of fun, especially considering that we made it for some friends who are getting married. And it turned out way more professional looking than we thought it would. So that was a big plus for us and we love how it turned out.
So there are a few things that we would change about the project. One of the biggest is that the two sides are actually not symmetrical. Somehow when we were laying it all out, we got off. And so it kind of just adds to the rustic look, but if I could go back, I would change that. There are also some of the boards that are not completely flat with the other ones. This would be fixed with if we had a big planer. Unfortunately, we don't, so it's just how it is. And the last thing is we didn't level it. So I talked about it in the video, but I totally forgot to do it. So this table is not completely level. If we could go back, we would redo that again.
But other than that, we really love how it turned out, and we hope that our friend Kaylee and Dylan actually use it and love it so much and it becomes an awesome part of their home. But thank you so much for watching this video, and we hope you guys will come back and watch us again soon. Thanks!
And gig 'em.
Mwah.